just say your name and your title, please?
Sure.
You want to shut this?
That's fine.
Okay, thanks.
My name's Wes Brooks.
Mhm.
My title is Assistant Vice President for Student Life and Director of Residential Life.
Okay. So can you explain some of like the housing changes that happened this year with Wartburg's on-campus housing?
Sure. The main change was the housing lottery. Am I looking at you or am I looking at the camera?
Right here.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going to be fiddling sometimes.
No, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. The main change was with the housing lottery, the opportunity to have students participate in the lottery without having to put a deposit down with the college to secure housing through the lottery. That was the most significant change that we've had this year. Hopefully it'll be a positive. We're not to the lottery yet to know, but our hope is that that will increase participation in the lottery process, because in the past we've heard that that $200 has been a hurdle for some students to actually participate. And as a residential campus, having students live on campus is obviously extremely important to the college, and we want to minimize the challenges and the hurdles for students to participate. So the housing deposit being removed was one significant change to our housing process. And then, I think there's a little bit of a misconception that there's been significant changes to off-campus housing, because that isn't really the case at all. The criteria to live off campus has remained the same, the process has remained the same, but we simply are trying to emphasize the process, the importance of living on campus, and the residential college experience that Wartburg is all about. So off campus really hasn't changed in regards to the process or the criteria to be approved to live off campus. It's simply a matter of educating students on the fact that we are residential, that we believe in the community that living on campus provides, and all the benefits in terms of academics and engagement that living on campus creates for students. So off-campus housing hasn't changed in regards to criteria. One change that did occur the only change, frankly, that occurred with off-campus housing is the $250 fee associated with living off campus. And that is simply to cover costs that are embedded in the residential charge for housing, room and board cost, that are embedded there for utilizing facilities, using different components of the college, that regardless of whether or not you're a resident or a commuting student living off campus, you're still utilizing some of those facilities. And it's just a matter of that fee has always been embedded in the room and board charges. So with students living off campus, then that fee is being charged to them as well. So that's the one change in off-campus housing. Otherwise, there isn't anything new that way, and I know that's been presented in an idea that there's a bunch of new in regards to some of that, but off-campus housing's virtually remained unchanged. So the big change, and hopefully the positive change, is that more students will be able to participate in the lottery because of no deposit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's posters around campus promoting the lottery and whatnot.
Sure.
What was the idea behind this poster? Like, how did this idea come about?
Sure. Well, obviously, Residential Life works very closely with marketing and communication in regards to how we want to market and promote the activities that we have in Residential Life. And as I said earlier, one of the main things that we want to do this year is to continue to create awareness around the idea that being a residential campus and having that residential experience is very positive. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to maximize our marketing, our promotion of the housing lottery through a poster campaign that addressed what students are all about in social media. So the idea of the golden ticket is new to the housing lottery as well, with the idea that the group of students that you want to live with, if you take a photograph near one of those posters and take it to marketing and communication, you can actually receive a golden ticket that will reduce your average lottery score by 25 points. So that was another way to drum up more interest and really more excitement in the housing lottery, because the last thing that we want as a college is for Residential Life or for living on campus or the off-campus process or anything related to housing to be perceived as a negative or as a challenge for students. You know, living on campus should be an exciting, fun opportunity for students to continue to grow and learn in their academic pursuits, but then also in their social life and personal life as well. So we wanted to continue to try to shed light on the fun and exciting and positive things that living on campus brings. So we thought the use of social media might do that as well.
So who came up with the idea that'd be kind of marketing and comm?
Yes.
Okay. And
the actual like branding.
yeah. So with that, you might have already touched on this, but like, what message were you trying to get across with some like the different messages, like we don't protect those outside this castle type thing?
Sure. I think the message in our opinion was kind of twofold. One is the idea that we are residential, and that is the expectation of the college that students will live on campus, and that we do serve students in a residential capacity differently than students in a commuter capacity. So we don't require meal plans for students who live off campus. We don't have the opportunity to support students who have landlord issues or apartment space issues or things of that nature off campus like we do on campus. So the idea that we would be trying to best serve our students through the lens that we believe to be the value of that residential campus is part of that campaign of the posters, certainly. But then also just addressing real world experiences in terms of things that we have heard from current off-campus students of issues with landlords or students actually coming back to campus after being approved to live off because of poor experiences and not feeling as connected to the campus or not as engaged with the campus, or having poor living conditions or living environments off campus that they didn't anticipate causing them concern or causing them problems, and then them actually coming back and saying, man, we didn't understand the value of the residence halls until now, and we'd like to move back in. So really real life experiences that we've had here in housing certainly triggered some of the messaging with the poster campaign. And then also the idea that with the golden ticket promotion, we wanted to make sure that the posters were fun and exciting, because we hope that the golden ticket process will be fun and exciting, so we wanted to make sure those blended together nicely as well. But if there are any students who have concerns or anything in regards to the messaging of the posters, certainly I'd be more than happy to talk with those students one-on-one and just have conversation with them. And I'm sure marketing and communication would feel the same way.
Definitely. That was actually my next question. Like, we talked to some students who live off campus and they almost felt kind of excluded with the message of the posters. Like, how do you react and what would you say to
Sure.
them?
Well, that's certainly not the intent
Yeah.
whatsoever. I mean, it really was to drum up interest in the idea that living on campus is exciting, is fun, and that we are able to provide some services to on-campus students, obviously, that we can't for off-campus. But we also certainly recognize the need for some students to live off-campus. That is certainly the case. That's why we have an off-campus process. That's why we have criteria that we use for students to be approved, and we give those students the opportunity to come in and visit with us around living off campus. So that was definitely not the intent. And as I said, I mean, if any students are concerned about that or want to speak more to someone about that, I'd be happy to visit with them. And I know marketing and communication would be happy to talk with them about the concept of the poster campaign and the branding as well.
Okay. And you already kind of talked about this too, but what do you think some of the benefits of students living on campus versus off campus are?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much touched on quite a few of them, but there is a different sense of community in the residence halls than living off campus. That's something that we definitely value here. Living on campus, not only do we believe this, but there's also statistical data that suggests that students who live on campus are more engaged in the campus community, but then also actually perform better academically. So certainly we believe that's a value, because our hope is that the residence halls is an extension of the classroom here on campus, and that those living learning environments and the living learning communities that we have certainly enhance what's going on in the classroom. That would be our hope. And then the services, as I already talked about, that we can provide. You know, if a water heater goes out in an off-campus apartment, certainly I hope that the students are working with high-quality landlords and folks that they rent from that'll address those issues. I know we will, and I think there's value on that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's all my questions, but do you have anything to add and last comments?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.